The New York Attorney General just dropped a legal nuke on Valve, and I've got some thoughts. A.G. James says Valve games resemble a slot machine in lawsuit. Oh, here we go. You know what? I'm not even surprised anymore. I'm not. Because this is what happens in 2026, folks. Politicians who don't understand gaming get to decide what's gambling and what's not. A press release, February 25th, 2026. Yesterday, New York Attorney General Letitia James is coming after Valve Corporation. Counter-Strike 2, Team Fortress 2, Dota 2, all of them, the big three, allegedly promoting illegal gambling. And you know what the best part is? They're calling it slot machine-like, a spinning wheel, an animated interface. That's gambling now. Valve Corporation, the company that made Half-Life Portal, Left 4 Dead, that runs Steam, literally the backbone of PC gaming, is now being accused of running what is essentially a criminal gambling operation. The process resembles a slot machine, with an animated spinning wheel that eventually rests on a selected item. By that logic, every prize wheel at Chuck E. Cheese is a felony. Every carnival game where you spin a wheel, illegal. That wheel on The Price is Right? Lock Drew Carey up right now. The Wheel of Fortune? Pat Sajak is a criminal mastermind running an interstate gambling ring. Do you see how insane this sounds? Do you see the precedent this sets? But let's dig deeper, because the lawsuit goes into detail about this. They describe the case opening animation in Counter-Strike 2. You click on a case, you insert a key, the screen shows items scrolling by, it slows down, it stops on an item. That's it. You know what else that describes? Literally every gacha game ever made. Every mobile game with a summoning mechanic. Every card pack opening animation, and every digital card game. Hearthstone packs flip over and show you cards with little animations. Is Blizzard running a casino? Marvel Snap shows you cards appearing, illegal gambling. But wait, it gets better. They're saying Valve is enticing users to pay for the chance to win a rare virtual item of significant monetary value. According to A.G. James' lawsuit, Valve has allegedly made billions of dollars through its game's cosmetics market while not providing any in-game functionality for any of them. Yes, correct. They're cosmetics. They're digital freaking skins. They do nothing for gameplay. A default AK-47 in Counter-Strike shoots the exact same bullets as a $1 million Fire Serpent skin, same damage, same spray pattern, same recoil, same bullet penetration, same everything. The only difference is that one looks cooler. That's it. Some of these skins sell for real money. One sold for over $1 million. A skin with 4 iBuyPowerCat OS 2014 stickers, extremely rare, owned by a Chinese collector, therefore gambling. Case closed. You know what else sells for absurd amounts of money? Trading cards, Pokemon cards, Magic the Gathering cards, some Black Lotus cards go for hundreds of thousands, a first edition Charizard, 50 grand easily if it's in good condition. A PSA 10 could be 6 figures. Is the Pokemon Company running an illegal casino? Are baseball card packs gambling? Because that's the exact same model. You pay money, you get a random item from a predetermined pool. Some items are rare and valuable, some are common and worthless. You don't know what you're getting until you open the pack. But nobody's suing Topps, nobody's going after the Pokemon Company, nobody's dragging Wizards of the Coast into court. Why? I'll tell you exactly why. Because those industries have lobbying power. They've been around forever. They've got lawyers on retainer, they've got connections in Washington and in state legislatures. But Valve? Easy target for a politician looking to score points with parents who don't understand what their kids are doing online. Here's something interesting that nobody's bringing up. You know what actually resembles gambling way more than CSGO cases? NFTs, crypto, blockchain gaming. You've got games where you're literally buying random NFTs hoping they'll increase in value. You've got play-to-earn schemes that are basically just Ponzi schemes with extra steps. Where's the lawsuit against those? Where's the AG going after OpenSea? Where's the case against Axie Infinity or whatever the is popular now in the blockchain space? Oh right, that's different. That's not gambling, even though it's literally more like gambling than anything in Counter-Strike. And now we get to the part that really pisses me off. Are you ready? Here it comes. Illegal gambling can be harmful and lead to serious addiction problems, especially for our young people. Valve has made billions of dollars by letting children and adults alike illegally gamble for the chance to win valuable virtual prizes. Won't somebody please think of the children? This is the oldest political trick in the goddamn book. When you want to ban something, when you want to regulate something, when you want to look like a hero without actually doing any real work, without actually solving any real problems, you slap for the children on it and call it a day. You know what's wild? You know what's absolutely hilarious about this argument? Counter-Strike 2 is rated M for mature. That's 17 plus, 17 years or older, not for kids. Team Fortress 2, M for mature. Dota 2 varies by region, but also has mature ratings in most places. And the lawsuit even admits this. It's right there in the complaint. It is worth noting that all three of these games are rated mature 17 plus by the ESRB and even 18 plus in some regions. So, wait, let me get this straight. Let me make sure I understand the logic here. The games are rated for adults. Valve puts age ratings on them. The ESRB, an independent rating board, has evaluated these games and determined they're for mature audiences, but it's still Valve's fault when kids play them? How is that Valve's responsibility? Where are the parents? If a kid gets their hands on these games, that's a parenting failure. That's parents not monitoring what their children are doing online. That's parents not setting up parental controls on Steam, which, by the way, exist. Steam has Family View. Steam has spending limits. Steam has all these tools that parents can use if they give a single fuck about what their kids are doing. But no, it's easier to blame the game company. You want to know what this reminds me of? Every single moral panic about gaming in history. In the 90s, it was Mortal Kombat. Too violent, too much blood, it'll corrupt the youth. They dragged Ed Boon and John Tobias in front of Congress. They created the ESRB because of it. In the 2000s, it was Grand Theft Auto, Murder Simulator, teaching kids to steal cars and kill prostitutes. Jack Thompson built an entire career trying to ban GTA. How'd that work out? He got disbarred. In the 2010s, it was Call of Duty and school shootings. First-person shooters are training kids to be killers, except every study showed no causal link. None. Zero. The research was clear. And now, in the 2020s, it's loot boxes. Digital gambling, exploiting children, predatory monetization. But the AG's office isn't done. Oh no. They've done their homework. Kind of. They bring up third-party marketplaces. And this is actually where they have something resembling a real argument. Users can also connect their Valve accounts to third-party marketplaces where the virtual items can be sold directly for cash. The OAG's investigation found that Valve facilitates and even assists these third-party marketplaces in their operations. Okay, this is actually where it gets interesting, because this is the one legitimate point they have buried under all the bullshit. Valve does provide API access to third-party sites. They do allow these marketplaces to exist. Sites like DMarket, CS2Money, Skinport, and dozens of others where you can cash out skins for real money, not just Steam credit. Real money that goes into your PayPal account or your bank account. But here's the thing that the lawsuit glosses over. Valve doesn't run those sites. They don't operate them. They don't take a cut of those transactions. They provide an API, an application programming interface, that allows these sites to access Steam inventory data and facilitate trades. That's like saying credit card companies are responsible for online gambling because they process payments. That's like saying internet service providers are responsible for illegal downloads because they provide the connection. And you know what Valve has done? They've actually cracked down on gambling sites. Remember the whole CSGO Lotto scandal back in 2016, targeting a gambling site they secretly owned? Remember the aftermath? Valve sent cease and desist letters to gambling sites. They shut down API access for sites that were operating as casinos. They actively tried to close the worst offenders. Did they get all of them? No. But acting like Valve is sitting back and encouraging this shit is freaking dishonest. Could they do more? Probably. Should they? Maybe. But there's a difference between could do more and is running a malicious gambling operation designed to prey on children. And here's where it gets even better. They talk about the gold date feature, the near-miss psychological trick where the spinner stops right next to the rare item to make you think you were close, to make you think, oh man, I almost got it, just one more try. The spinning wheel may come to rest immediately next to the icon for the rare and valuable item, creating the illusion that the user was close to winning, thereby incentivizing additional purchases. Cool. Great observation. There's just one tiny, insignificant, completely irrelevant problem. That feature doesn't exist in CS2 anymore. It was in CSGO, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, the previous game. It got removed when CS2 launched. The animation changed. The community has talked about this extensively. There are literally hundreds of Reddit threads and YouTube videos discussing the difference between CSGO case openings and CS2 case openings. So the AG's office is basing part of their lawsuit on a feature that doesn't exist, using screenshots from a content creator's video describing mechanics from an old version of the game and calling it evidence. This is the level of research we're working with, folks. In addition, although this case is about illegal gambling, it is important to note that Valve's promotion of games that glorify violence and guns helps fuel the dangerous epidemic of gun violence, particularly among young gamers who can become numbed to grave violence before their brains are fully developed. I'm sorry, what? What does gun violence have to do with loot boxes? What the actual is this paragraph doing in a press release about gambling? This is them admitting in their own press release that they're throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks. Oh, this case is about gambling, but also, guns bad, violence bad, think of the children's developing brains. This is the same tired video games cause violence argument that's been debunked 1,000 times. It's been studied repeatedly by actual researchers with PhDs in psychology and neuroscience. The American Psychological Association has weighed in, the Supreme Court has weighed in, and the consensus is clear: there's no causal link between video game violence and real-world violence. Countries with the highest video game consumption, Japan, South Korea, most of Europe have some of the lowest rates of gun violence in the world. Meanwhile, the United States has a gun violence problem and relatively moderate gaming consumption compared to those countries. If games cause violence, that relationship should be inverted. But sure, let's throw it in the lawsuit anyway. Why not? We're already here. Why is Valve being singled out? EA has FIFA Ultimate Team. That's a loot box system worth billions. Like, multiple billions with a B. And it's actually predatory. It's actually targeted at kids who play soccer games, kids who love football, kids who want to build their Ultimate Team. And unlike CSGO skins, FIFA Ultimate Team cards actually matter. They actually affect gameplay. Better cards means better players. Better players means winning more games. There's pay-to-win mechanics built into it. You can literally buy success in FIFA. Where's their lawsuit? Where's the AG of New York going after EA? Activision has Call of Duty's loot boxes, or had them. They keep changing the system. Overwatch had loot boxes for years before switching to a battle pass and shop system. And those games actually marketed to kids, actually accessible to kids, actually designed with psychological manipulation in mind. But no, we're going after Valve. The company that doesn't force you to buy anything. The company whose games are free to play. The company where every single item is cosmetic and provides zero competitive advantage. The company where you can play thousands of hours without spending a penny beyond the game price, and in CS2's case, it's completely free. You know why? I'll tell you exactly why. Because Valve is an easy target. They're privately held, so they don't have shareholders screaming about stock prices. They don't have a massive PR team ready to spin this. If New York wins this case, the precedent is insane. The implications are far-reaching and fucking terrifying for the gaming industry. Any game with randomized rewards becomes gambling under this legal theory. Any game where you pay money and get a random outcome. That's the standard they're trying to set. Pokemon card packs, gambling. You pay $4.99, you get random cards. Some are valuable, that's gambling under this definition. The entire game is built on random loot drops. Trillions of guns, all randomly generated. That's gambling on steroids. You open a door like this, you don't get to control what walks through it. You don't get to say, oh, we only meant this specific thing. Legal precedent doesn't work that way. Once you establish that randomized digital goods are gambling, that's it. Look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend loot boxes are perfect. They're not perfect. Some people do develop gambling-like behaviors. Some people do spend too much money. Some people do chase losses. These are real problems that affect real people. But you know what the solution is? You know what actually helps people? Parental controls, education, better age verification, spending limits, mandatory cooldown periods, displaying odds, showing total spend. All things that can be implemented without lawsuits and without destroying an entire ecosystem that millions of people participate in responsibly.